something's happening with the podcast bros. Theo Vaughn and Dave Smith have both now just admitted that this thing with Trump ain't working out, that this Trump administration is terrible. And I think I'm putting it nicely, but you'll see what they had to say. And why does that matter? Why the turn? Why does that matter? Remember, Dave Smith and Theo Vaughn endorsed and supported Donald Trump in 2024. In fact, Donald Trump came on to Theo Vaughn's podcast when he was running for president. And I do want to remind everybody what Donald Trump said when they got into the affordability factor. You know, one of the things that Theo brought up to him was big pharma, healthcare, which is a big one, right? You know, I went back and I watched this earlier today and I realized that Donald Trump talked a good game. I see why he got people to, you know, believe that he was going to do the right thing. We're going to revisit this part here when Theo Vaughn interviewed Donald Trump when he was running for president in 2024, and they're talking about healthcare and how the system is so screwy, right? Listen to this, because this is important, because Trump ain't really moving on the affordability factor. And that's something he really ran on, was the economy. Check this out.
But we have a lot of popularity. We have a lot of people that want to see me come back and win, because we had a great time. We had the greatest economy in history when I was president. We had
my cousin got a boat.
Numbers. Yeah, we had the best job numbers. African American, Hispanic American. If you look, Asian American job numbers, women, men, everybody. We did a lot of good things. We cut taxes more than anybody else, including Ronald Reagan. We cut regulations, which created jobs. We had a great period of time, and I think the people want it back. Based on what I'm seeing, the people want it back.
One thing that you did recently, we had Bernie Sanders on,
right.
And
interesting.
And I know
that's very interesting.
Certainly, you guys don't agree on a lot of things, but I think you both acknowledge how horribly rigged the healthcare system is against the American people. Because hospitals and insurance companies get away with hiding their prices from all of us, and literally they can charge whatever they want. You know, it's like you sign up and say, yes, I'll pay. You trust the hospital, but then you get home and the bill it's whatever, you know, which pretty much feels like some form of extortion to me. That's what it's.
I'm laughing not because of what he's saying. What he's saying is true. I was laughing because of the look on Donald Trump's face. Look at the look on his face when Theo said the word extortion. I don't know what it's saying. But listen to this. Sorry.
Seems like to me.
It's a form.
But you had an executive order where you created a federal rule forcing hospitals and insurers to publish all their prices.
Yep.
Right. So that people would be able to know, okay, if an MRI costs $600 here and it's $5,000 there, then I can go here and save myself money.
Right.
But that hasn't even been enforced. Like hospitals.
Biden got away with it.
Hospitals and insurance companies, they're still not showing their prices.
They hated it.
Of course they did.
And because it would have made it very competitive. And Biden let it go. He never enforced it. And to get that approved was a big deal. And that would have brought down the price of
so many things.
Not only, just care, right? Care, physical care, mental care. That would have brought down the cost of care by 50, 60%. And Biden and Kamala didn't press it. It was a big thing to get it, but I'll be pressing it. And because I'll be pressing it, and because I'll be pressing.
Okay, I just want to pause here and I'll let this part finish in just a second. So he said that's something that he will be pressing. So he's like, well, Biden didn't do this. Okay, yada, yada. But Biden's not president anymore. This is why I keep bringing this up. So we are now in the second year of Donald Trump's presidency. Why hasn't this changed? So again, this was something that he ran on, something he was really vocal about. So this is why sometimes it's good to go back and reflect. Let's continue.
There are some people that are vehemently against it for financial reasons, for money reasons. But
those people can go to hell, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, no, they're bad people.
Especially because one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in America is medical debt. I mean, that's crazy. And I don't even think I made that up either.
No, it's when you think of it, at first when you said it, I said, wow. And then I'm thinking about it. I said, it's really not a wow. I understand it.
Yeah.
Tremendous lobby, tremendous powerful lobby.
Well, yeah, because think about what else is going to put you in medical, like in that much of a debt. It's like, I believe that's accurate. Who's behind the healthcare insurance, that whole thing? Like, who's behind it all? It feels like Chuck Schumer is this kind of like deviant mastermind back there somewhere.
Well, he's one of the people that is hurt, and he's one of the people that keeps the prices high. And he's, gets a lot of contributions from the people on the other side. And him and plenty of other people, a lot of people. It's a very powerful lobby.
But wouldn't they want to?
So you guys hearing all this, talking about the powerful, big pharma like lobby there in Congress. So you guys are listening to what's being said here, right? Okay. Why haven't these things changed now? This is one of the domestic issues that they talked about. Why hasn't it changed? And I wanted to show you that because now, and this is something we got to talk about. Theo Vaughn and Dave Smith, they're calling out Donald Trump and the Trump administration. And before we get into that, I do want to remind you, Dave Smith was actually one of the first ones that I saw come forward and call out the bullshit. Like, I'm not kidding. Just a reminder here. Just literally not too long after Donald Trump got into office, Dave Smith was one of the first ones to come forward and say, yeah, I was wrong about this guy. In fact, he went on to say he should be impeached. Listen to this.
It was in 2007 that the Pentagon told George W. Bush that we cannot go to war with Iran because we do not have escalation dominance against them, essentially meaning that they can hit all of our bases and embassies in the region, and we are very vulnerable to them. And we've already seen demonstrated since the Israeli attack that the Iranian, the missiles that they sent last year toward Israel, as many of us guessed, that wasn't really their best. They were intentionally making an attack that wouldn't really hurt anybody, that wouldn't really lead to a war, which Iran has done over and over again. But now we've pushed them to the point where they probably don't feel that they have the option not to respond. And Donald Trump telling them to come back to the negotiating table now is a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, what a impotent leader to be sitting there talking about coming back to the negotiating table. It's like sitting after Pearl Harbor and telling FDR, now's the time to go negotiate with the Japanese. Right. Negotiations are over now. The time for negotiations was before this. And so, yeah, Donald Trump looks, and man, I supported him this last year. I apologize for doing so. It was a bad calculation. At the time, it seemed like the right one. But he should be impeached and removed for this one. Wow. And not on some like not on some ridiculous Nancy Pelosi. Of course, the Congress will never do it because they're all a bunch of corrupt hacks.
This is the one thing they support. This is like
Donald Trump should be impeached and removed for this. All of his supporters should turn on him. It's the absolute betrayal of everything that he ran and campaigned on and everything that he stood for. And I will say, despite the fact that, Donald Trump supporters have been labeled like a cult following, and that certainly is true for a percentage of his supporters, he is going to lose his coalition over this. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say there are a lot of us who simply will not go along with this. So it's just a devastating mistake. By the way, on top of that, he's also going to lose the deportation fight because of this. Because right now he needed all the political capital he could have to turn that, you got a majority support for deportations, but the minority is very mobilized and they're out and they're protesting all around the country. He needed all of his political capital for that move. So here's what we got. The neocons win. More war abroad and, bomb the world and invite the world. No matter who you vote for, you always get John McCain.
And there you have it, folks. And I just remember that, like, he was one of the first ones who supported and endorsed Trump, came out very early on and said, whoa, I supported this guy, but holy hell, he's lost his mind. He's trying to get us in, war with Iran. Like, I take it back. He should be impeached. So that is one thing I will say about Dave Smith is that he admitted that, not good decision that he made, but he's willing to admit, like, this guy is doing some crazy shit and he needs to be impeached. Now, I want to go on to this conversation between him and Theo, because now both of them together are talking about this, that like this administration is off its rocker. And I think it's important that it is coming from them. Now, some people say, what's the big deal if it's coming from, them or someone else? Well, they supported him and they have large microphones. Like Theo Von has a large microphone, Dave Smith has a large microphone, and they supported him like vocally, right? Joe Rogan has come forward in some ways saying like he doesn't agree with some of the things that Donald Trump are doing, but these two are doing this together. And I think it does say something. And I got to add one more thing. I really feel like Donald Trump and JD Vance manipulated the podcast space. They knew that corporate media is dying and it's falling apart, and the younger peeps are, more people are watching like YouTube or streaming elsewhere. So they feel as though, well, that's one of the best ways to get in touch, especially with the younger viewers. So let's go on to these political podcasts or any of these podcasts that are on YouTube, that are on like Rockfin, et cetera, Rumble. Let's do that, knowing damn well, and I say this, Trump knowing damn well that he was not going to be a peace president, knowing damn well that he had already taken that money from Miriam Adelson and he was going to do Israel's bidding. And a lot of these shows that he went on were people who wanted the genocide to stop. Theo Von was one of them. I don't know if he went on Dave Smith's show. Joe Rogan was one of them. People who had been calling out what was happening there. And I feel like he played that space. He played the political podcast space to make people think that he was just like a little bit more independent, cool kind of guy who just wanted to fix the economy and was going to stop the wars. Listen to what they say here.
Let's talk about so it's been a year since Trump's been in. You said some of his base is kind of split now. It does feel a little bit like there's like this. How do you feel like Trump's done in his first year? Like, what are things he's done that you like?
Well,
and obviously,
I think he's been terrible. And I assumed he probably would be a disappointment. And I supported him last year just because I thought, like, all things being considered, it was better for our country that he win than Kamala Harris win. And also the Democrats just so deserve to lose. Like, you just can't reward that.
Well, Kamala, I just saw the Kamala.
We had a senile president and they all pretended we didn't. It's just too crazy.
That was too crazy.
They also their policy on COVID, their policy on Ukraine, and then don't forget, they were a full year into backing the genocide when it happened. So they were, they deserve to lose. Donald Trump has done a really good job in securing the border. Right. We had a really open border under Joe Biden. We have a secure border now. Aside from that, it's just been disastrous. I mean, I just couldn't, and not even just disastrous, like the policy was wrong, but just
disastrous. Not bad, not mediocre, disastrous. And I'm telling you guys, like, I never thought Trump would be good. I never thought Trump would be good. I was like, well, Trump's going to be bad. But Donald Trump's presidency this time around, it is worse than his presidency the first time. Like this, I really do feel like he has really gone full scale chaos. And I think that's what he wants. I think they want chaos. I think him, because he's a billionaire, and all the other elites, they want chaos because they believe that out of chaos and destruction, there will be order. I definitely think this, man. I really do. And it's crazy. Like nobody does all this shit that's so chaotic back to back to back to back for just for, you know what I mean? Like whether it was the National Guard, whether it was the ICE agents, whether it's the let's just go after bomb boats in the Caribbean, like, all this stuff back to back to back, and nothing on the economy. Nothing. People still can't afford prescription meds. It's insane. It's like he just stormed into Chuck E. Cheese and he kicked all the kids out and he said all the balls and the pizza are for him. I don't know if they still got Chuck E. Cheese around, but it was basically this kind of, event gaming kind of place where you could take the kids to for like birthday party. And there was like a little mouse named Chuck E. Cheese and he used to dance around. For those who don't know, it's just like he just took over. Just took over. It's really weird. And like when you listen to him talk recently, he's like on some world domination bullshit. Listen to Donald Trump recently, his most recent interviews. It's like he's talking about global domination. It's insane.
The way they handled it. I mean, the handling of the Epstein scandal that goes down in history as like the worst handling of a scandal I've ever seen. Literally, from all these guys running on, we're going to release this stuff. Pam Bondi having that thing where she gave the influencers folders, the binders.
Remember them holding the binders?
And then it turns out there was nothing in them that was new. And then they pivoted on a dime to there's no such thing. I don't even know what you're talking about. Right. You're crazy to think there was a thing to be released. Like, it was, and then to turn around, and then they turn around, and Mike Johnson said it will end the political order if we vote for Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill to release the files. And then they turn around and get pressured into voting for it, and now they're just redacting everything, and like it's just, I mean, just he lost so much credibility on that. Obviously, I think bombing Iran was terrible.
Well, let's go one thing at a time.
Sure.
The Epstein. Yeah.
So they're naming them off. And this is important, guys. Like they're naming them back to back to back. The thing that drives me insane about the Epstein files is that Donald Trump, it's like he continues to do other actions to distract you from the Epstein files. It's like every time something else is announced about the Epstein files is, oh, I'm just going to go bomb a boat in the Caribbean, or we're going to go kidnap Nicolas Maduro. Or, oh, let's just unleash ICE agents everywhere and let them beat people up and even American citizens. Like, that's just what it seems like to me. It's like, it's wild. Two, the other thing, the number of pro-Trump accounts on social media, mainly X, who said all this stuff about calling out Epstein and protecting the kids when Biden was in office. And the moment that Pam Bondi and Donald Trump said nothing to see here, they just tucked their tail between their legs and they kept it going. All of a sudden, they didn't care about those underage kids anymore. Like I said, it's all political. It's all partisan. And that part to me was the craziest. Like all the people who said protect the children, who all of a sudden decided not to care about the damn children anymore because Donald Trump told them not to. Crazy.
Bring up some of those pictures that they just released too. What was with the photo drop right before Christmas? It's all so bizarre. Like, what is that a picture about? If you're a married guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I mean, like,
if you're a married 60-year-old guy.
Yeah, listen, I'm never going to be in a position with some chick like that. I'm a married guy. It's a weird thing. Yeah, I mean, now again, it doesn't give us that much more information, and we don't see her face, but sure does look a lot younger than him.
Yeah, go through some of these. I mean, this is kind of. I mean, it's all just kind of wild.
Kevin Spacey and Bill Clinton there.
And was this at Epstein Island? Allegedly. And there's some photos. This is the best thing. Look at these photos. Everything redacted in them. These could be photos from anybody's phone. Everything redacted. And then one mark of the beast or something from Zodiac Killer on the one that he'd thrown on. Just bizarre.
I just want to add, since he mentioned Kevin Spacey, there was a kid in Massachusetts who accused Kevin Spacey of sexual assault. And I think I think this happened on either Martha's Vineyard or the Cape. And he accused Kevin Spacey, and it was like a big deal. It was like big news a couple years ago. Somehow Kevin Spacey got out of that. I don't know if like people put pressure on the kid. And then all of a sudden it was like, let's just like walk this story back. I don't know. I feel like maybe he got pressured. I feel like he got harassed, maybe threatened as well. But Kevin Spacey on Epstein, allegedly on Epstein Island, according to the Epstein files. I just had to mention that Kevin Spacey, there was a trial. I can't remember if it was public, but it was like a big deal. And Kevin Spacey got out of it. And it's it's just so bizarre. Like other people in Massachusetts, they can tell you about it as well. But I feel like I think the kid was threatened. And I think that's why it was like, walked back or whatever. But it was pretty detailed from what I saw when it was reported on the local news here. And the next thing I knew, Kevin Spacey he got out of it. He's another Zionist too, by the way.
Bizarre. I mean, it's just like,
it's so strange.
Why?
Man.
Why would they just show us some of this stuff right before the holidays? Are they just trying to like everything now you have to think, is it trying to distract my attention from something else, And the news reports, they don't even tell you about the real shit that's going on anyway.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff that's happening, here's the crazy part. We don't even know anymore. Yeah. Like most of the most serious shit that's going on.
Yeah.
We don't even have a clue.
Well, I think part of the thing, look, the Epstein, the whole story is so like, it's so dirty. It just stinks. I mean, you just look at it and you're like, dude, look, we know what we know, but knowing what we know, how could you possibly piece this together that it's not some huge scandal? Right. I mean, like already when you just go, okay, so there's a guy who was convicted of pedophilia or convicted of soliciting prostitution from an underage girl, then a decade after he's convicted, or at least 8 years after, he's still like in the most influential circles with all these. And then for national security reasons, you're telling me that this has to be hugely redacted? Like, what the hell? This just makes no sense. And his connections to Ehud Barak and Mossad now all being known, it's just too crazy.
And here's another thing. We don't know that any of this stopped, by the way. Just because Jeffrey Epstein is dead, we don't know that any of this stopped. That trafficking could still continue right now. They can change places, they can change faces, they can change names. We don't know that ended. So that's the other thing about it. Let's get to part 2 of this as well. Like I said, the big one, I think that tells people, the reality that this is just all partisan was the Epstein thing. All the people who complained about Epstein, and they get to this part here as well.
You feel this way, but I just find myself over the last year just really getting tired of a lot of this stuff. And like, it kind of be like one thing. If Trump was doing all the right things and then you wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, you'd be like, yeah, okay, sure. Like that's fun. And I like triggering libs as much as the next guy. So like, that's fun.
Or let us have a game each year, a competition, and whatever country wins the competition, it's like in America, South America, whoever wins gets to name it, gets to have it for that year.
Well, that was a great idea. But it's like now after like, when you're just like kind of like being Israel's bitch and then you're burying the Epstein stuff, but I repeat myself, it's like, and then he goes like, we're renaming it to the Gulf of America. You're like, shut up, dude. Like, give me something serious.
Yeah.
It starts to feel like you're just insulting me. It's like you start like bragging about how you're redoing the White House or how much nicer it looks than when Joe Biden was there. Like, I don't care, man. Like the average guy, like people who are making 70 grand a year can't afford to live.
Yeah.
That part right there. Donald Trump is doing everything except for enough for the American people, or things for the American people, or the economic issues. That's where he's not doing that. He's blowing up people. He's kidnapping people. He's protecting traffickers, his Epstein friends. By the way, who has friends like that? He's protecting them. He's doing everything except for something for the American people. Remember when he was running for president, he said that he was going to turn it all around, that Joe Biden and them ruined the economy and he was going to fix it and get it back to where it was. But he out here blowing up everything else, increasing the defense budget to 1.5 trillion. Money going here and there, but it's not going to the people. So, yeah. It's almost like, and like I said, he was bad during his first presidency, but during this presidency, I swear to God, it's like, this is even worse. Like he's even worse this time. And it's weird too. It's almost like some people asking questions like, is there some type of dementia that could be going on there or whatever? Because it's just like, I don't even think he knows what he's saying sometimes. And don't get me wrong, I think he's good at being a liar. He lies a lot, but I don't think he knows what he's saying sometimes. Just like I told you how he got caught in the lie with the New York Times reporter just recently. It just like you just be saying shit and you don't know why. And here's the other thing. He knows that this is probably going to happen. The Democrats are probably going to win the midterms because Trump is pissed. He's pissed everybody off. He's just blowing things up. He wants chaos. So the Democrats are probably going to win the midterms, and he knows what's coming after that. Because if they win the midterms, then they can file for impeachment. Now, impeach doesn't mean that you're removed from office. It means that you have filed to do so. You filed to have this hearing, and there would be a vote. And then depending on the vote, that would determine if you're actually removed from office. I think he could actually be removed this time. I really do. Because like he's just doing some crazy shit without the approval of Congress.
Real thing that we live in a society now. In my grandfather's day, you could just work. My grandfather worked at a factory. That's all he ever did. By the end of his life, I think he had been made floor manager of the factory, but that was his whole life. He just worked in factories. All his buddies worked in factories. None of their wives worked. They all owned homes. They all had 2 cars. They played poker on the weekends. They sent their kids to college. They participated in like the country, in the ownership class. They owned their house, you know? Today, a 25-year-old, even if they got a job where they're making 70 grand a year or something like that, they're living with a roommate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and the chick is working and they don't know how the hell they're ever going to buy a house. The average house is going for 700 grand. No idea how and it's like,
and they're ovulating stressed eggs and then they're making Down syndrome children half the time.
Yeah.
And those kids are back in the factories. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, we don't even know because there's so much goddamn poison around, and you know all the stuff that Bobby Kennedy always talked about. It's like I don't know any of which one of them was the culprit or not. It's like, is it the fact that we do 50 vaccines now instead of 12, or that there's plastic in our water, or that there's all these chemical? Like I don't know that all our food's over processed and all this shit. I don't know, but it's bad. We lead the world in disease.
Come to America where we don't care if we take care of our health or like our procreation, you know?
Think about.
Well, we care, but we may not have the means or the finances to do those things. That's really what guys, is capitalism. I don't know how many times to say it. It's capitalism. That's the problem. And you know, I know some people, like a lot of my friends, don't feel as though capitalism is to blame. Like most of my friends feel as though that we need to have some type of restrictions on capitalism. Like it's gone too far, right? So like most of my friends don't feel like I do, that like it's just capitalism. Because I don't feel like we can have restrictions on capitalism because we have a billionaire class. And as long as we have a billionaire class, people will always be exploited. That's how they became billionaires in the first place. So it's like, you can't have capitalism without exploitation. And as long as there's exploitation, people are always going to try to find ways to be greedy. And so that's why I don't think that there can be restrictions on capitalism. It would be nice if that worked, but it's just, there's a lot of greedy people in the world, and people who have vast amounts of wealth that just want to hoard it and keep it to themselves, even if that means that all the people that work for their companies can barely afford to make it right now. And they have 4 roommates and they're eating Easy Mac and those damn Top Ramen. Actually, you know, no shade on Top Ramen because you can hook that up. You can hook it up. You can put an egg in Top Ramen. You can actually, you know, cut up little sausage, put that in there, and then just put some green onions in there, make it all fancy and stuff. You like hot sauce, I guess you can throw that in there too. But anyway, I think that that's really what it is capitalism. And here's the thing. The younger generations are starting to see that more and more. And the more people complain about affordability, the more people get closer and closer to criticizing capitalism. And that, I gotta tell you, the elites, they really want to shut that down. They don't want you to see that capitalism may be a problem. They keep trying to say socialism is this dirty word. The word socialism doesn't even hold the weight that it used to anymore. So that tells you something. No shade on the ramen though, guys. I do like ramen. I prefer not to have the top ramen, the one by Top Ramen. There's better ramen out there.
Even like, right, the Epstein thing, which look, nobody knows exactly, and I guess probably will never know exactly like the entire details of what type of intelligence operation this was. And even when people say like, oh, he worked for Mossad or something like that, you're like, well, somebody doing what Jeffrey Epstein was doing wouldn't have been like an employee of the Mossad. You know what I mean? They would have had an actor outside. We know already that he was organizing meetings for the Mossad and Russian like oligarchs. We know that Ehud Barak was coming over and like staying at his house and stuff. And that that Alan Dershowitz was his confidant and his lawyer. So like he's all tied up with Israel and the Israel lobby. But so if it is what it looks like, which is like, are you telling me that like a foreign government that, by the way, is our welfare state, that we pay portions of our taxes to every year. You're saying they ran an op to rape American children, American girls, to compromise people, or at least there were American girls raped in the process of this network of events, and that you're covering that up? Like what?
Yes, and that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. They're covering that up, and it's insane to me. And Donald Trump says jump, people say how high. Donald Trump says nothing to see over there with those Epstein files, even though there's all these pictures, and people say, okay, Dad. Like it's wild. And I think it's because people want a hero, people want a savior. And it's like once you decide that someone is your hero, it's hard to turn that off. It would be like telling a little kid that Iron Man is a bad person, like when they're a kid, you know? It would be like saying that, or a little kid that like Hulk or like Wolverine. When I was a kid, like X-Men was like kind of, a big thing. And it would be like someone coming to me and telling me that Wolverine and Storm are terrible. And, so I think that that's a big part of it. And people don't want to reckon with it. And people don't want to hear it. They just want to believe that their person is the hero, the savior, and anything that they say, they're going to believe it. And that's dangerous. In fact, that's called a cult. And what we are not going to have on this channel is, I hope you learn something every time you come over here, guys, because what we're not going to have on this channel is like, people need to be free thinking here. And sometimes I say things you agree, sometimes I say things you don't agree. That's cool. That's the real world. What we are not going to have is a cult-like mentality. We don't need another David Koresh. We don't need another Waco. We don't need none of those things. People are free and they can think for themselves. And I think that's the scary part to me, is when people feel like they can't do that. I'll tell you something, a little secret. You want to hear it? Here's something. That was a bad place for me to stop that video. I'm sorry. During the Biden administration, there were a couple of liberals that reached out to me that told me they were not happy. They actually regretted it. Voting for Biden and Kamala, regretted it, but would not say it publicly because they didn't want to be ostracized. Not kidding. Got to remember, I live in Massachusetts. And now I'm starting to see that there are people who also are not happy with Trump. And some of them have said it publicly. Some of them called it out publicly and said, what the hell are you doing? This is ridiculous, da-da-da. But then there are also some, even in that camp, that are afraid to speak out about it publicly or around their friends or their family, because guess what? They're afraid they're going to be ostracized. And that is the cult of personality. And that's scary. So when I see Theo Vaughn and Dave Smith coming forward and saying like, yo, this guy's lost his damn mind, like that type of thing, like he says this disaster, that's good. I can say that because I didn't vote for Donald Trump. right? It doesn't hold the same weight because I didn't vote for him. I think when people who voted for him are saying those things, I think it holds more weight and I think it has a greater impact. And I think it says something when you can admit, hey, I messed up here. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I think Donald Trump just wants chaos. That's what I feel like we're living in. We're living in a chaotic state. And people just don't know. People are stressed. And my advice that I can give to you guys is at the end of the day, make sure you take care of yourself. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.